The Galactic Council chamber fell into an uneasy silence as Ambassador Zekthara's secondary breathing apparatus wheezed in distress. Her crystalline exoskeleton reflected the harsh artificial lights as she gestured toward the holographic display, showing the contested system. "The Void Sector," she announced, her voice carrying the characteristic harmonic undertones of her species. 17 solar systems shrouded in perpetual darkness. No starburns there, only the cold emptiness between worlds, lit occasionally by the dying embers of collapsed giants. Murmurs rippled through the assembled delegates. The Altarians' feathers ruffled with instinctive fear, while the silicon-based, chromec representatives emitted subsonic frequencies of distress. Even the normally composed Etherians seemed to shimmer with anxiety. "The Darkness Dwellers," whispered Counselor Vexhai from the Centauri delegation. "Ancient legends speak of creatures that hunt in absolute void, things that feed on light itself." Zekthara nodded gravely. "Our surveys confirm massive energy signatures moving through the sector, structures that defy our understanding of physics. Entire fleets have vanished without a trace." She paused, letting the weight of her words settle. "The sector must be quarantined. It is death itself made manifest." The vote was unanimous. All 12 member species agreed to declare the Void Sector forbidden territory. Warning beacons would be deployed at every approach vector. No rational species would willingly enter such a nightmare realm. What they didn't know was that humanity had been living there for 3 generations. Captain Sarah Chen pressed her palm against the cool metal bulkhead of the mining station Tenebris, feeling the familiar vibration of the massive excavation equipment below. Through the reinforced viewport, she watched her daughter Emma guide a cargo hauler through the maze of asteroid refineries, the ship's running lights painting brief streaks of color against the eternal black. "Another day in paradise," she murmured, taking a sip of her coffee. Real coffee, not the synthetic garbage they served on the core worlds. The Void Sector had been humanity's secret for decades. When Earth's colonial expansion had reached these dark systems, they'd found something the galaxy's other species couldn't comprehend: opportunity, planets rich in rare elements, asteroid fields dense with platinum and thorium, gas giants whose atmospheric pressure could power entire civilizations. All of it was theirs, because everyone else was too terrified to claim it. "Mom, you seeing this?" Emma's voice crackled through the comm system. "Long-range sensors are picking up something big heading our way." Sarah moved to the command console, her practiced fingers dancing across the controls. The display showed a fleet of unknown vessels approaching the outer perimeter, sleek, organic-looking ships that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "Run their signatures through the database," she ordered. Minutes later, the results made her laugh. Zekthara's people, the Hegemony Council. Emma's cargo hauler docked with practiced precision. "What do you think they want?" "Same thing they always want when they venture into the Forbidden Zone," Sarah replied. "They probably think we're the monsters." Aboard the Hegemony flagship, Stellar Harmony, Navigator Kixnell's sensory organs were practically screaming warnings. Every instinct told him to reverse course, to flee back to the safety of charted space. But their orders were clear: investigate the anomalous readings emanating from the sector's core. "Energy signatures increasing," reported the sensor technician, her voice tight with controlled panic. "Something's out there, multiple somethings." Commander Yothkar stood rigid at the center of the bridge, his ceremonial armor clicking as stress pheromones leaked from his gill slits. "Maintain course. The Council demands answers." The view screen suddenly erupted with light as dozens of human vessels emerged from the shadow of a massive asteroid. Workships, cargo haulers, passenger transports, an entire civilian fleet operating in the heart of the void. "Impossible," Kixenel breathed. "Nothing can survive here. The darkness itself is alive." A communication request chimed on their console. Commander Yothkar hesitated, then accepted the incoming transmission. The image that appeared on their screen was both mundane and terrifying. A bipedal creature with pale skin and forward-facing, predator eyes. It smiled, revealing gleaming white teeth. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Terran Mining Consortium, the creature said in perfect hegemony standard. Welcome to the Void Sector. Is this a social call or are you lost? The bridge fell silent except for the whispered prayers of the communications officer. 2 hours later, Commander Yothkar found himself aboard the human station, surrounded by the very monsters his people had feared for generations. Except they weren't monsters at all. They were impossibly, mundanely normal. They offered him something called coffee and showed him charts detailing their operations. 17 solar systems fully colonized. Mining operations, research stations, even schools where human children learn to navigate by the light of distant galaxies. Your species, he finally managed to ask. You're not afraid of the dark? Captain Chen looked genuinely puzzled. Afraid? This is home. We've been here for 70 years. She gestured toward the viewport where her daughter was teaching a group of children to pilot maintenance pods. My Emma was born out here. Never seen a proper star until she was 16. But the legends, Yothkar protested. The creatures that hunt in the void, the things that devour light. Sarah's laugh was warm and entirely too human. Oh, you mean us. She pulled up a holographic display showing human expansion through the sector. Ships moving without running lights, stations powered by captured dark matter, entire cities built in the shadows of dead stars. We don't need light to see, she explained. We evolved in caves, hunted in darkness, learned to make fire when we needed it, and embraced shadow when we didn't. What you call the void, we call potential. Commander Yothkar stared at the data, his worldview crumbling. The monsters in the dark weren't some ancient evil. They were neighbors he'd never bothered to meet. Would you? He asked hesitantly. Would you be interested in trade agreements? Captain Chen smiled that predatory smile again. Commander, we've been waiting 70 years for someone to ask. As the hegemony fleet departed with the first official human diplomatic envoy in galactic history, the Void Sector was no longer forbidden territory. It had become humanity's gateway to the stars. After all, someone had to teach the galaxy that darkness wasn't something to fear. It was something to call home.